American singer, songwriter, and chef Kelis Rogers was born August 21, 1979, in New York City, and raised, along with her three sisters, in the Frederick Douglass Houses in the Harlem neighborhood of Manhattan. Her first name is a portmanteau of her father's name, Kenneth, and her mother's name, Eve Lees. Kelis had an early interest in music thanks to encouragement from both parents. From the age of 4, she was performing in nightclubs across the country with her jazz saxophonist father, who played with artists like Dizzy Gillespie and Nancy Wilson. At her mother's urging, Kelis began studying classical violin at age 2 and picked up the saxophone as a teenager. She also sang with the girls' choir of Harlem. As relatively comfortable as her upbringing was, Kelis still had to deal with her fair share of tribulations. She was constantly snubbed by her peers since she was too black to fit in with the white kids at her prestigious private elementary school and too middle class for her Harlem neighbors. Her childhood trauma, however, instilled in her a strong sense of confident individuality and the ability to stand her ground. She enrolled at the LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts, where she studied drama and theater. She also formed an R&B girl group. The group's talent caught the attention of a hip-hop producer who introduced Kelis to the Wu-Tang Clan's RZA. In 1997, she sang backup on the track Fairy Tales for his side project, Gravediggers. At 16, she was kicked out of the family home after constant arguments with her parents. To make ends meet, she tended bar and worked in clothing stores, all the while holding strong on her dream to have a career in singing. She'd get a foot in the door after a friend introduced a 17-year-old Kelis to a little-known hip-hop production duo called the Neptunes, made up of Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo. The trio clicked. They helped her land a record deal with Virgin Records and together recorded Kelis's debut album, 1999's Kaleidoscope. Its lead and most notable single, Caught Out There, became a top 10 Billboard R&B hit. At the same time, Kelis was also experiencing success as a featured artist on Old Dirty Bastard's Got Your Money, which secured a spot on the Billboard Hot 100 Top 40. Sadly, the story of the music industry is one of young artists getting ripped off again and again because they're too young to understand the contracts they've signed until it's too late. What's different in Kelis's case, she says, is that it was her friends who ripped her off. I was told we were going to split the whole thing 33-33-33, which we didn't do. Instead, she says, she was blatantly lied to and tricked, pointing specifically to the Neptunes and their management and their lawyers and all that stuff. As a result, she says she made nothing from sales of her first 2 albums, which were produced by the Neptunes, but she didn't notice for a few years because she was making money from touring. Their argument is, well, you signed it. I'm like, yeah, I signed what I was told, and I was too young and too stupid to double check it. Kelis's second album, 2001's Wonderland, unfortunately fell way short of expectation. To make matters worse, it wasn't even released in the US. Virgin Records rejected the album and insisted she re-record it. When Kelis refused, the two parted company. That whole period was just awful. It felt like someone reading your diary and saying, change it. Well, you know what? I preferred not to do that, even if it ruined me. You don't have to like what I do, but you have to respect where it is I'm coming from. Kelis's personal life would take a positive turn in 2002 when she met rapper Nas at a party. He introduced himself by telling her that he'd been looking for her for years, and he wanted to make her his wife. The feeling was mutual. No doubt that feeling of destiny only increased when it turned out their fathers had played in the same jazz band many years earlier. Soon after, they became engaged and married in a civil ceremony in 2003, instantly becoming a family of 3, including Nas's daughter from a previous relationship. By the end of that year, Kelis's third album, Tasty, would drop. The lead single, Milkshake, propelled the project to gold status, where it peaked at number 27 on the Billboard 200. Milkshake climbed all the way to number 3 on the Hot 100 and earned Kelis a Grammy Award nomination for Best Urban Alternative Performance.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard and they're like, it's better than yours.
After having heard the record, the Neptunes signed Kelis to their Arista-backed Star Trek label. While the album's second single, Trick Me, went to the top 10 in many European countries, it didn't, however, garner success in the US, in the absence of promotion by Jive Records, the label Kelis had been transferred to after Arista folded at the time of Tasty's release. After legally tying the knot 2 years prior, Kelis and Nas further solidified their union with a lavish wedding in 2005. She was back to business the following year when Kelis Was Here was released. It debuted and peaked at number 10 on the Billboard 200. The album was her first not to feature contributions from the Neptunes, as she'd left Star Trek by this time. The lead single Bossy, featuring rapper Too Short, was a hit in the US, peaking at number 16 on the Hot 100 and number 11 on the R&B chart.
I'm bossy. I'm the first girl to scream on the track. I switched up the beat of the drum.
Even though the album was nominated for a Grammy for Best Contemporary R&B Album, according to Kelis, she, again, received no support from Jive for the recording or promotion of it and argued heavily with the label. She then decided to take a step back from music and go on a hiatus. Her name would soon be in the news again though, but not for anything positive. In March 2007, she was detained by police in Miami Beach, Florida, and charged with disorderly conduct. The arrest report said an operation in which officers posed as prostitutes in the South Beach nightclub district was disrupted when Kelis started screaming racial profanities at them. She was sent to Miami-Dade County Jail and was later released on $1,500 bond. In September 2008, she was acquitted of the charges. During her time out of the spotlight, Kelis kept busy taking a course at the Cordon Bleu, training as a saucier, having a baby, and getting a divorce. She was also caught in a legal battle to get off Jive, her former label, even though reports claim that she was dropped. In the spring of 2009, Kelis filed for divorce from Nas, citing irreconcilable differences. She was 7 months pregnant at the time. That July, she gave birth to her first son. The couple's divorce was finalized in 2010. Years later, Kelis dropped the bomb that her ex-husband had physically abused her throughout their relationship. The red flags were there. I was really young and didn't know that love isn't enough. It was crazy from the start. But I think as girls, we're taught that that's what love is. Like you can't breathe without them. What kind of shit is that? I want to breathe. Fame, though, she says, made the abuse worse, and it continued to worsen until two things finally made her leave. The first was seeing the photos of Rihanna after Chris Brown assaulted her in 2009. The second was getting pregnant. Nas has issued repeated denials of her claims. He even posted a 7-part series of Instagram posts telling his side of the story, including admitting to paying to be able to see his son, as well as Kelis being verbally abusive and jealous of his daughter. In addition to the domestic abuse claims, Kelis alleged that Nas's drinking was a major factor in the breakdown of their relationship. He'd been unfaithful, he doesn't pay child support, and has not been an active parent. Kelis's culinary talents took her into the celebrity chef world with multiple television cooking specials across Netflix, Cooking Channel, and Food Network, and the cookbook My Life on a Plate, inspired by her travels. She also came out with her own line of sauces under the name Bounty and Full. By 2010, Kelis was back, signed to Interscope Records, and released the electronic dance album Flesh Tone. A cappella, the first single, debuted in the top 5 on the UK singles chart and reached number 1 on the UK dance chart and US dance chart. She later signed to British independent label Ninja Tune for the release of her 6th and to date last album, 2014's Food. Subsequent singles were Jerk Ribs, Rumble, and Friday Fish Fry. The month before the album dropped, she was quite flippant when it came to the topic of her musical future in an interview with The Guardian. I might make another album. I might make 10 more albums. I might never make another album again. It depends on how the mood suits me. I'm not declaring retirement, but I'm just saying that I don't have any musical ambitions anymore. In an interview with Vice, Kelis was asked why she thinks she's not a bigger star. Her response? I think a lot of things factor in, actually. The first thing is I'm not willing to do what it takes. I don't believe in it enough. I believe in it enough to enjoy it, but I don't believe the hype, and I take it for what it is. The plan was to be on Broadway. I wanted to do musical theater. So fame's not really in the cards when you're talking about musical theater. It's more about credibility, your art, and your craft. So for me, this whole thing took me by surprise because it was never the plan. And like I said, I'm not willing to give what it takes, and I'm too opinionated, and I'm too sensitive, and I don't care enough, and I really like my privacy. Kelis found love again and married photographer Mike Mora in 2014. She gave birth to her second son in November 2015. Fans got a big surprise in 2019 when Kelis's second album, Wonderland, finally got a North American release. She embarked on the Kaleidoscope 20th Anniversary Tour, a UK and European tour celebrating the 20th anniversary release of her debut album. In March 2020, though, this was cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic. That same year, she gave birth to her and Mike's second child, a daughter. In September 2021, Mike revealed publicly that he'd had stage 4 stomach cancer. He stated he'd been diagnosed with advanced gastric adenocarcinoma the previous September, right around the time of his daughter's birth, and was given 18 months to live. Unfortunately, the doctors were correct, and Mike passed away on March 14, 2022. He was 37 years old. Shortly after Beyoncé's 7th solo album Renaissance was released in the summer of 2022, Kelis took to social media to claim that she used elements of Milkshake without her express permission in the song Energy. Kelis alleged that Pharrell, who wrote and produced the track with Chad as the Neptunes, would have cleared the interpolation as a direct hit at her, and that nobody from Beyoncé's team had reached out to let the singer know her song would be referenced.
The reality is that my real beef is not only with Beyonce, because at the end of the day, she sampled a record, she's copied me before, she's done it before, so have many other artists. It's fine. I don't care about that. The issue is that not only are we female artists, black female artists in an industry that there's not that many of us, right? We've met each other, we know each other, we have mutual friends. It's not hard, she can contact, right? Ash Nico, who's 20, she's a young white girl, she reached out when she freaking it's just common decency, right? It's common decency, especially because, as so many of you pointed out, as though I don't know, but let me help you, okay? I know what I own and what I don't own. I also know the lies that were told. I also know the things that were stolen. Publishing was stolen. People were swindled out of rights. It happens all the time, especially back then. So it's not about me being mad about Beyonce. Everyone's you're all sheep. And I'm talking to the people who are obsessed and blind, just it's so dumb. It's so ignorant. It's so ignorant. She has one issue because it was stupid and disrespectful and she should have at least reached out. But the real issue is the fact that the people like Pharrell and like Chad really is like an amoeba and he's spineless. It's a miracle he can keep his neck up. But Pharrell knows better. This is a direct hit at me. He does this stuff all the time. It's very petty. Very, very, very. And the reality is that it's frustrating. I have the right to be frustrated. Why? Because no one had the human decency to call and be like, yo, hey, would like to use your record. Which, by the way, the reason I'm annoyed is because I know it was on purpose. This is not like they were in the studio. No, this was an on purpose direct hit, which is very passive aggressive. It's very petty. It's very stupid. And I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't mince my words. So all of you Beyonce fans, knock yourselves out. I'm not mad like that. It's not about me being jealous of someone using my song. That's the dumbest, most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Grow up. I was not thinking about her or no one else. Not even on no shade. Just not thinking about living my greatest, best life, as I always do. So it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that from one artist to another, you should have the decency and the common sense and the courtesy to call, reach out, a manager, an agent, anybody just to be like, yo, heads up, this is what we're thinking, this is what we're doing. Even if you're going to do it anyway. Just common decency. Like I said, it's happened before where people at least had the wherewithal to be like, yo, using your record, we understand that Pharrell totally swindled you out of your stuff. Just want to give the respect because that's what you do, right? No, that's not what happened. So grow up, okay? I don't mince my words. I say exactly how I feel, when I feel it, how I feel it. I don't care who likes it or doesn't like it. It is what it is. These are facts. This is not opinion, okay? These are facts. Later.
The original version of Energy interpolates the refrain that's first heard around the 30-second mark on Milkshake. The official credits for Energy did indeed mention that the song contained an interpolation of Milkshake and credited Pharrell and Chad as songwriters. Kelis was mentioned as having performed the interpolated song, but she's not listed as a songwriter for Energy in the same way that the Neptunes were. Notably, Kelis was never credited as a songwriter on Milkshake to begin with. She's not formally addressed this aspect of the controversy. However, in one of the video statements she posted, she called Pharrell out for allegedly taking credit for songs he did not write.
So just to add to my thought, here's the issue, okay? This is really not about Beyonce or anything else for that. The reality is, okay, and I said what I said, so still all facts, okay? But the reality is that this is more about the fact that there's a lot of hypocrisy and there's a lot of nonsense. So we've got Pharrell, who did an interview, I think last year, talking about artists' rights and how people should be able to rework their deals and artists should be getting credit for what they've done and all this stuff. Where in reality, when I was signed to him, I had the same manager that he had, and he has writing credits on my records, okay? All my singles, coincidentally. And he never wrote a song, a lyric a day in his life, okay? And so, yeah, that's a problem. Number two, we've got Beyonce, who, like I said, out of human decency and artistry and female, just all of the stuff she sings about, all this empowerment and stuff, I don't talk about it, I am about it, okay? So the reality is, all of this female empowerment stuff, it only counts if you really do it. If you're really living it and walking the walk. Don't just talk the talk. It's real cute and fun to sing all these girls' songs. Like, come on now. Let's be real, all right? And then thirdly, you want to talk about Pharrell saying, oh, cause I'm happy. I'd be happy too if I was stealing all kinds of folks' publishing and rights to songs and all kinds of stuff. I actually really wouldn't be happy because it's evil. But the point is, okay, is that there's a lot of hypocrisy and someone has to talk about it and bring it up. And it just so happens that I was thrown in this. This is not like I looked for it. I was actually last night, I was posting on my Bounty and Full page, just doing my own thing. And then I saw one of my fan pages and someone was like, oh, that's a collaboration between B and Kelis. No, it's not a collaboration. It's called thievery because the collaboration, the definition of collaboration, it means that we are working together. There's no working together if you are not even checking to see if everything's cool. That's a problem, okay? I would never do that to another artist. For real. I never have. I never would. Why? Because what's the point? If I like it so much, why wouldn't I just be like, yo, I really like it. Can I use it? Like, whatever. That doesn't happen, right? It's nonsense. Because some people, I don't know what they think. I don't even care. The point is, something has to be done about it. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm not going to pop off all the time. I'm saying what I have to say because it's true, okay? But I do think that something needs to be done. It happens to a lot of artists. It happens all the time. And I think that really something needs to change. And this just might be the fuel that I needed to actually do it. Because honestly, I try to keep to myself and stay out of the drama. But if it keeps coming to me, what else am I going to do, right? That's all. So say what you want to say. I don't really care. Peace.
Eventually, Energy was updated on Tidal and Apple Music to remove the milkshake interpolation from the song altogether. For the last few years, Kelis has lived 2.5 hours out of LA, deep in wine country, on a beautiful farm. She told The Guardian in 2020, I hate LA. I was only ever there for work. Because it's not like New York or London, there's nowhere to go after 10 at night. So suddenly you're getting up early in the mornings, and you're juicing, and you're hiking, and figuring out how much wheatgrass you can actually intake. I hate it. So I thought, if I'm going to be in California, I should be where I can appreciate how beautiful it really is, not stuck in LA and pretending it's a city that's fun. In the summer of 2024, Kelis reported that she's almost finished her new album she's been working on for the last several years, her first in a decade. She told Rolling Stone Australia that the issue holding her back was her habit of becoming uninterested in the work she'd already done once she lost momentum. But she's on a good roll now, and 75 to 80% done. So it appears that fans will finally get to enjoy a new body of work from Kelis in 2025. Throughout the entire year of 2024, Kelis has also been traveling. A lot. She embarked on an ambitious journey across East Africa in January and hasn't stopped since, covering Kenya, Zanzibar, Rwanda, and more. Then, on November 20th, just days before the filming of this video, she announced on her Instagram that she'd written a children's book inspired by her travels, titled 7 Wonders of Africa.
I wrote a children's book. While I've been out here, I was inspired. I want our children to see how beautiful this continent is. You guys have seen me traveling throughout East Africa. You've seen my journey. I've been everywhere. I loved it. Every second of it. My kids are out here with me. And as we were seeing these beautiful wonders of Africa, I wanted to share it. I felt so inspired. So I started a company called Make It Brown. It's for my kids, for your kids. I want our kids to feel represented and to have all the beautiful things that this continent has to offer, to see it really firsthand. So I wrote this book. It's called 7 Wonders of Africa. It's about a little boy named Abel Sabbath Brown. This is a hard copy. If you buy the hard copy, you get the digital copy also, which is great. I love it. I'm super excited. It's ready to ship now. It's from my love to your loves. Peace, guys.